The FBI is the most sophisticated law enforcement agency in the world, pursuing the most dangerous criminals. When an out-of-control killer terrorizes the small bayous of Louisiana,
he said, "A lot of people are gonna die tonight," and he walked out.
the Bureau mobilizes.
You're thinking, where am I not looking that I should be looking?
My initial response, as soon as I saw him armed with a weapon, was to yell, "Gun, gun."
FBI, criminal pursuit. Lake Providence, Louisiana. Set back on the bayou. It's a forgotten town where outlaws are born and bred and occasionally break loose.
What's wrong with you?
Brittany heard you on the
Brittany didn't hear anything.
April 10th, 2000.
Listen to the TV or something.
14-year-old Brittany Dukes listens intently
Are you seeing her again?
as her mother, Angela Casten,
Angela, come on.
and her stepfather, Jesse James, battle it out in the next room.
I just sat in my room and just listened to them argue and fight and scream, and I mean, there was hitting and just all kinds of stuff going on.
Fire! Stop it!
Listen to me!
Stop it!
Brittany is so frightened by the escalating violence that she locks her bedroom door.
About that time, I heard my mom on the phone with the cops.
911.
And she said, "My husband has got a gun to my head and he'll shoot me before you get here." And when I heard her say that, I went to unlock the door. I was gonna run in there and try to just, I guess, see if I could stop him, you know, just ask him to stop, beg him not to do that. Before I even got my hand off the lock, I heard the gunshot.
He placed the shotgun under her cheek and blew her away. The dispatcher actually heard the shot.
The teenager is frozen in fear as the footsteps of her stepfather come closer to her room.
He came to the door and started beating on the door just a little bit, telling me to open the door. But before I could get to the door, he'd busted the door through. And I remember I just looked at him, and he was staring at me with the shotgun in his hand. I remember I just told him, "Please, Jesse, please don't." And he said, "Please what, Brittany? Your mama's dead." And I just stood there. And then he said, "Don't just stand there, go call 911.
Go call 911.
Brittany immediately races past Jesse to the phone. Under her stepfather's watchful gaze, she struggles to get a dial tone.
He was standing probably 10 feet from me, getting his ammo ready and guns, and he looked at me and he told me, he said, "A lot of people are gonna die tonight." And he walked out.
Thinking more clearly, Brittany suddenly remembers her mother was on the phone in her bedroom when she got shot. She rushes to her mother's side and again calls for help.
I remember I grabbed her hand and I just shook her hand and talked to her, and I knew right then that the ambulance wasn't gonna do any good.
Almost immediately, local police arrive at the house. But Jesse James Casten, who has a long criminal record in Lake Providence, is long gone. And he has a list of people he's about to hunt down. Less than a mile down the road, Casten sneaks into the home of Sharon McIntyre, where his other stepdaughter, Brandy, is spending the night.
Mom and Sharon were like the best friends. They were always together. They went everywhere together. They were real close.
Casten quietly enters Sharon's dark bedroom.
Sharon and her boyfriend was in bed asleep. He turned the lights on and shot Sharon while she was asleep about 6 times in the back.
Brandy is startled by the sound of gunshots.
It's like it was real, but it wasn't real. So I jumped up, and it's like, I don't even remember my feet hitting the ground. I just got underneath the bed. I heard her boyfriend screaming, "Oh, Sharon, oh, Sharon." So I knew somebody had shot her.
Brandy hears someone shouting orders to Sharon's boyfriend. She recognizes her stepfather's voice.
We're gonna have a problem with you!
Just lay down. Just lay down, man. Don't get up. And he said, if you get up, I'll shoot you too.
Then, she hears something even more chilling.
And he said, where's that girl? Where's the girl that? And her boyfriend was saying, I don't know, man, I don't know.
Where's the girl? I don't know.
And then my door slung open and the light flipped on. I always play the radio at night, and I was like, oh my God, the radio's on, he's gonna know I'm in here. First place anybody's gonna look's under the bed was my thought. So I was holding my mouth and watching his shoes, making sure he didn't get closer to me, and just scared.
Brandy watches as Jesse looks for her in the closet, then abruptly takes off.
I was terrified. I just knew he was coming back. I knew he would.
Brandy tries to call 911, but there's no dial tone. Then her aunt knocks on her front door.
And she said, Brandy, Jesse killed your mom. And I just hit the ground. And then the next thing I know, I'm sitting in the car and Brittany's holding me. And we go down to the house and they're just screaming to get us out of there. And then they went and locked us in the police station.
Police immediately issue an all-points bulletin for Jesse James Casten, now wanted in the shooting deaths of his wife and her best friend. They have no idea what's motivating this bloody rampage, or whom he'll target next. Minutes later, less than a mile from Sharon's house, 2 Lake Providence police officers spot a suspicious pickup truck parked on the grounds of an elementary school. The officers pull beside the truck and are blindsided by Jesse James. Both officers are hit.
Jesse was a marksman, and he was a dead crack shot. And anybody who knew Jesse knew that there's one thing you knew for sure about him: he could shoot a rifle, a gun, or a pistol.
Though one officer is seriously wounded in the neck, they manage to call in the attack and identify Casten.
We were actually in the police department and heard the gunshots over the radio. And we heard the cops making the calls in, talking about Casten is shooting at us, and we could hear the gunshots.
But before backup can arrive, Casten takes off on foot. A native of Lake Providence, Casten knows the area well. He runs across the school's baseball field to a residential boat dock.
He was very athletic and in shape. He was a man that had outdoor survival skills, hunting skills. He knew the lay of the land.
Casten steals a boat and disappears into the darkness of Lake Providence.
That time, he broke into a vehicle and stole a cell phone, and he made several phone calls. He made the statement to his cousin that you tell certain people that as long as I'm alive, that they're not safe, as long as I'm on the run.
Casten will be true to his word. He has more carnage in store for the small town of Lake Providence. And only one organization will be able to stop him: the world's best specialists at catching fugitives, the FBI. Special Agent Nate Songer, an expert in violent crime, knows that every second counts.
We knew this crime spree was going to continue unless we got a handle on it as quick as we could. Not only did he murder 2 people, he shot at police officers, and he's got a hit list. I don't know what more you would need to indicate that this guy is still a threat to the public.
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do with that? What are you gonna do with that? Hey! Yes, sir!
April 13th, 2000. In Lake Providence, Louisiana, authorities are hunting down a cold-blooded killer named after the Wild West's most infamous outlaw.
They were not going to forget that name, Jesse James Casten, and if they had any doubt as to whether or not he was dangerous, that would soon disappear.
Jesse James Casten is wanted for the murder of his wife Angela and her friend Sharon, as well as the attempted murder of 2 Lake Providence police officers. Local authorities call on the Louisiana State Police for assistance. But Jesse has already found a hiding place.
He took the ditches and the wood lines and stuff, looking for a place to hide, and he come to Mr. Ernie Wilson's house. At that time, there was an old camper growed up in the weeds out behind the house, and that's where Jesse had stayed at.
There, less than 5 miles outside of town, Casten lays low. He watches the Wilson house, stealing food when Ernie Wilson and his wife are away. Three days later, Casten breaks into the house.
Don't move! What the? Don't move!
Ties Wilson to a chair, robs him of $170, then kidnaps the elderly man.
That gunpoint, they got in Mr. Ernie Wilson's truck, and Jesse made him drive towards Texas. And in fact, they went to Texas, they gassed up again, and the motor in Mr. Ernie's truck burned out about Marshall, Texas on I-20. And Jesse ran off.
Casten leaves Wilson by the side of the road, where a passerby stops to help him. He returns to Lake Providence unharmed. Casten is now far away from Louisiana police, but he's made a critical mistake. Kidnapping and crossing state lines are federal offenses, and the FBI is immediately notified. Special Agent Harry Deal, a native of Lake Providence who grew up just down the street from Casten, is brought in on the manhunt.
Kidnapping is a federal offense. Crossing state lines with a kidnapping victim allows us to immediately take over control of the investigation. Kind of makes the FBI the shot caller at that point.
The Bureau immediately issues an unlawful flight to avoid prosecution warrant, or UFAP, a law that allows federal authorities to assist in apprehending fugitives who have fled state justice. A tip comes in that Casten has been spotted at a Longview, Texas truck stop. Agents rush to the scene, but Casten is long gone. He could be several states away or headed for Mexico. Agents alert border crossings and prepare for the worst.
You're dealing with a person that you know if you come face to face with him, you do not want him getting the drop on you.
By now, word of Casten's crimes has spread like wildfire across the tiny town of Lake Providence. They're all terrified he's going to return, especially Casten's stepdaughter, Brandy, who narrowly escaped his fury by hiding under the bed.
I figured he'd come back for me and for a couple of other people.
Many townspeople are too fearful to cooperate with authorities, and with good reason. Jesse and his brothers Frank and Sonny James have had dangerous reputations since childhood. All 3 were named by their father after the Jesse James gang.
The Casten brothers were raised, from all accounts, just horribly and very harshly. Some would say they never had a chance from the start.
According to the brothers, they spent 5 to 6 nights a week locked out of the house. Some nights were spent with neighbors. Other times, they slept with the family dog or sought refuge in a local cemetery or laundromat.
There was a washateria not far from here where the heat, comes outside. And for whatever reason, the boys would go there sometimes at night and sleep at the exhaust of the dryers where it was warm at, because they were kicked out of the house.
Their father, James Casten, a commercial fisherman, was also known to leave his children unattended on a small strip of wilderness known as Stack Island in the middle of the Mississippi River.
As young boys, they would be covered in ice, nothing on but a t-shirt, something that would make a grown man, sick, and these boys were out there doing it and didn't have a choice.
Jesse took the lessons to heart and learned to thrive in the wild.
The way he dealt with animals, most people don't flip a snapping turtle over and kiss it on the lips, pick up alligators and handle them. He did. He didn't have fear.
Former prosecutor Buddy Caldwell is all too familiar with Casten's lack of fear. A few years earlier, Casten was accused by landowners of fishing illegally on private property.
Jesse had cut some locks off of gates, etc., with some other commercial fishermen who made their livelihood from the Mississippi River. I dismissed charges that he had illegal broken locks, so Jesse knew if I told him something, I would do what I said.
But Casten's petty crimes soon escalated. In 1988, he shot and killed a man outside of a local restaurant.
Jesse shot him while another man was holding him. So he may or may not have had good reason to do that.
Jesse claimed self-defense, but was convicted of manslaughter. During sentencing, he brazenly escaped from the East Carroll Parish Courthouse.
He broke and ran from the courthouse, and nobody could find him, and I think that's where they underestimated him.
Casten remained on the run for 2 months.
When he was on the run, he would lay down and get underneath the mud, and the dogs that the cops had would walk right by him, walk right over him, couldn't smell him.
He finally turned himself in, joining his brothers Frank and Sonny behind bars. The brothers were serving for minor offenses, but would later kill a sheriff's deputy during a jailbreak attempt. Jesse served his 8 years before being released in 1996. Now, Jesse is on the run again, and his ability to survive, alone, in the wild, is what most worries Special Agent Nate Songer.
We were very concerned that he was just going to be in some hunting camp, but it would have been crazy just to go 1 or 2 people wandering through the woods and trying to find him that way. Because, yes, he would have the upper hand, and you wouldn't come out of there alive.
To make matters worse, Casten has proven to be a very discriminatory killer.
He's murdered his wife. He's murdered her best friend. He's let one child live, was gonna kill the other child. He's kidnapped a man and let him live, and he's shot at and tried to kill 2 police officers. So this is a very dangerous man, and he's selective about who he's gonna kill. And that was the reason for the fear of a lot of people in the community who began to wonder, had they ever crossed Jesse James Casten?
In the spring of 2000, 34-year-old Jesse James Casten has stunned the tiny Louisiana town of Lake Providence by murdering his wife and her friend, shooting at 2 police officers, and kidnapping an elderly neighbor. FBI agents are trying to uncover Casten's motive for the murders. They question his co-workers at a power plant in Mississippi and find out he has a secret. Casten had been cheating on his wife, Angela, with a woman who lived in the area. They also learn that shortly before the murders, Angela Casten found out about her husband's infidelity.
Angie and her best friend, Sharon McIntyre, went over to where he was working in Mississippi to try to catch him in the act. They caught his girlfriend, but they didn't catch him.
I'm Jesse's wife. Is he here? No, again.
Angela confronted her husband's lover.
How long have you been seeing him?
She didn't lash out or anything at the woman. She had a normal conversation with her, and then she talked to Jesse, and Jesse agreed to end the affair.
She loved him, and I just don't think she wanted to be divorced. I don't think she wanted to be alone either.
After the confrontation, Casten told his mistress that their affair was over. But a few days later, he acted strangely at work. He removed his safety glasses, gloves, and work boots and tossed them in the break room, saying he wouldn't need them anymore.
I don't need them anymore.
He then walked out to his truck in his socks, put on a pair of tennis shoes he had stored in the cab, and drove home. Back at his house, Jesse and Angela appeared to talk things out, then watched a movie with eerie similarities to real life.
In that movie, a woman turned her husband in for criminal conduct for possessing weapons.
I see how she could be driven to the point of turning her husband in.
And they had a discussion point blank that evening that if he were turned in, he would kill her.
You ever did something like that to me, and I would kill you.
Angela went to take a shower, and Jesse made a phone call. Angela's daughter, Brittany, was suspicious and told her mom.
And she accused him of talking to a lady that he had been having an affair with. And it just started an explosive fight.
Hours later, Angela Casten called 911, pleading for help.
I knew, he'd fight Mama, but I didn't think he'd kill her.
Investigators continued to interview friends and family about Casten's motives and learned that Jesse targeted Angela's friend Sharon McIntyre out of spite. A year before the murder, Angela and Jesse were living with Sharon when they got into a fight. Jesse threatened to hit Angela, and Sharon intervened.
It made Sharon mad, and she told, Mama, she's like, he's got to go. You can stay, but he's got to go. Angie, you always got a house here, but he can't stay. And from the end, he just didn't like her. She stood up to him. He didn't like that.
Casten had a similar axe to grind with his stepdaughter, Brandy.
Nobody ever stood up to him, and I kind of crossed that line with him. I was talking to Mom on the phone one day. She was talking about the way I was doing things. I was a teenage girl, and I told her not to tell me what to do when she let, a bad man like that beat up on her, and he overheard.
You had to be real careful of not crossing Jesse. He would not bother you if you hadn't crossed him in some way. But when he was crossed, he was obviously very dangerous.
Despite enormous insight into Jesse James Casten's past, authorities hit a dead end when it comes to finding his present location.
You're thinking, where am I not looking that I should be looking?
FBI agents scour East Texas, where he was last sighted, praying he won't shoot anyone else before they find him. But Casten doesn't stay away from his homeland for long. He hitches a ride to Arkansas, then takes a bus to Tallulah, Louisiana, just 28 miles outside of Lake Providence. Back in familiar territory, Casten seeks refuge.
Jesse had a number of people who were friendly with him and who would hide him. Jesse had almost been a folk hero to some people because of his outlaw nature and renegade type of nature. So it was kind of like a Bonnie and Clyde situation.
The fugitive hides out in an abandoned trailer on the property of a distant relative, James Kelly.
James Kelly helped him. He brought him food, and then he stayed there in his backyard for about 2 or 3 days.
Casten is now in close proximity with James Kelly's daughter-in-law, Andrea. Yet another woman Casten is allegedly having an affair with.
He could be as friendly as anybody you want to meet and very charming, so he can get into a lot of places other people can't, and that really makes him dangerous. And the people that knew him, I guess, the best, that's why they feared him so much.
After nearly a week in hiding on James Kelly's land, Casten charms another girlfriend into giving him a ride. He disappears once again. This time, for months. His tracks are untraceable.
There were times where we were not sure he'd ever left Lake Providence. There are a lot of old farms and barns and places like that where someone with Casten's survival abilities could stay.
Several sightings are reported, but prove to be false leads. Despite repeated visits to Lake Providence, authorities are met with nothing but resistance.
We did feel that his family was in contact with him on a regular basis and was doing whatever they could to assist him.
Others in town are simply too afraid to talk.
People literally worried where he was, and was he going to show up at their house and cut their throat or shoot them, because he was one of the few people that was very capable of doing that.
Even Special Agent Nate Songer takes extra precautions.
Nowadays, most agents have M4s, which are .223 rifles, but back then we didn't have them. But I had got authorization to carry an M16 in my car, which I did anytime I went up there to do anything, because I did a lot of surveillance, watching certain houses, trying to see. And I knew if he was cornered, at least I didn't want to be outgunned.
4 months after the murders, agents put Jesse James Casten on the FBI's famed Most Wanted list.
Once they become a top 10 fugitive, it is our priority to stay on those people until they are apprehended, because they are the most dangerous 10 people out there.
Everybody wants to catch one. It's an honor to be the case agent of one, but it's an even greater honor to actually catch one.
Agents hope the $50,000 reward money will entice someone in Lake Providence to talk. Instead, the reward creates a dangerous paranoia.
The family itself became very suspicious of anyone outside of the family asking questions about Jesse or wanting to know information, because they felt that they were going to be motivated by the money.
No one knows when Jesse James Casten is going to return to Lake Providence, or what he'll do when he gets there.
The whole time I was wondering if he was going to come back. I just didn't know Jesse to ever not finish something that he was starting.
It's been 6 months since fugitive Jesse James Casten went on the run after killing his wife and her best friend. He's on the FBI's top 10 most wanted list, and agents are hoping the publicity will generate some strong leads. In California, a caller tips authorities that Casten might be working at a construction site in Orange County. The caller describes a man who looks just like Casten and is wearing brand new work boots. Knowing Casten discarded his boots before killing his wife, investigators hope this is the break they've been waiting for.
They went to every construction site and basically gave out wanted posters and just see if they could generate any leads that way.
But the tip goes nowhere, and authorities remain empty-handed.
We had a lot of very good leads, a lot of lookalikes. They were actually, wanted criminals that were acting suspiciously because they were wanted and they just happened to look like Jesse.
Investigators are certain it's just a matter of time before Casten returns to his hometown.
We knew and even the locals will tell you this, he eventually was going to come back to Lake Providence. It was just a matter of when. He didn't have any money, so all he could rely on was friends or family.
On September 27th, 6 months after Casten first fled Lake Providence, investigators receive word that he may be back.
We had a source that basically said that his father had mentioned to his best friend that you would not recognize Jesse if you saw him. He's changed his appearance. And obviously for his dad to say that, he had to have seen him.
There was a lot of fear. There was talks that Jesse had a list of people that he was gonna murder, and then several people just thought their names might be on that list.
FBI agents spring into action, revisiting old leads and establishing surveillance. Months pass with no sign of Casten, until December 13th. Andrea Kelly, one of Casten's alleged mistresses, and her husband Bubba call Agent Songer to inquire about the reward money on Casten's head.
She wanted to leave her husband, and he was apparently an abusive husband. She, in her mind, had made a mention to her father, if I had that $50,000 reward money, I could leave my husband, start a new life.
5 nights later, the Kellys' home is set on fire and burns almost completely to the ground.
It was an antenna-rising event that we said, Jesse may be around here, there's something going wrong. Sure enough, it was.
No one is home at the time, except the family's 4 dogs. They perish in the blaze. Casten is not charged with arson, but suspicions run high.
If I was to bet, I would bet that Jesse had something to do with that fire. Sometimes coincidences are too coincidental.
Agents become even more suspicious when James Kelly, who had helped Casten months earlier, goes missing, along with his son, Bubba, Andrea's husband.
James Kelly was trying to let his son, Bubba Kelly, know that Jesse was having an affair with his wife. And we believed that James wanted them to meet so that Bubba could front Jesse with that himself.
The following morning, the Kellys' vehicle is discovered on the Mississippi River levee in East Carroll Parish. One body is found inside, the other nearby.
Daddy was shot, and then his throat was cut. The son, Bubba Kelly, was shot.
Police suspect Casten is behind the killings, but have no proof. They step up the search to find their #1 suspect. Investigators put pressure on Jesse's parents, family, and friends to reveal his whereabouts. Interviews and polygraphs reveal that Jesse has recently been sighted at his father's and possibly his mother's house. Agents prepare to take Casten down. Early morning, December 20th, 2000. Agents and police conduct simultaneous raids on the homes of Jesse's mother and his brother.
Clear.
But Casten is nowhere to be found. Although they strike out, Agent Deal isn't willing to give up.
We decided to go ahead and do some additional searches on locations that we had already searched in the past, since we were there and we had our people readily available.
Agent Deal suspects that Jesse is hiding in his father's home. Surprisingly, Jesse's father gives authorities consent to do a search. On site, agents prepare for a possible gun battle.
I said, so we're going to do this in a tactical manner with the understanding that he is in this house. That's the way we're going to do it. If he's not there, then it's no big deal. But if he is there, we're going to treat it like that, and we're going to be prepared.
Law enforcement officers enter the house through the kitchen. Agent Deal leads the way. A Louisiana state trooper goes in just behind him.
FBI!
Despite the noon hour, the house is dark. Agent Deal carefully moves through the kitchen, sweeping the room with his flashlight.
Nobody was in the kitchen. At that point, I yelled, clear, and we moved to the second room, which was a doorway just off to the right of the kitchen that went into a kind of a living room, dining room area.
FBI!
The living room is also pitch black. Crouching in the doorway, Agent Deal places his flashlight on the floor and rolls it into the room.
Casten immediately stepped out from behind the wall and was literally 1 foot away from me. The first thing that I noticed when he stepped out from the wall was, one, that he had an M1 carbine rifle across his chest. And I noticed that immediately because it's basically right in my face.
Gun!
It's 5 days before Christmas, and Special Agent Harry Deal has come face to face with multiple murderer Jesse James Casten, one of the FBI's most wanted fugitives. Casten is armed and extremely dangerous.
He was holding the weapon initially in what I would call a port arms position across his chest.
Agent Deal has his own gun trained on Casten. His finger is on the trigger, and he's prepared to fire.
He took the weapon and put it under his chin and said, I don't want to hurt anybody. Get out of here. I don't want to hurt anybody.
Back out the door.
A Louisiana state trooper automatically pulls Deal out of harm's way by yanking the strap on the back of his vest.
Get on your knees, hands
Agent
on
Deal
head.
and the trooper take cover in the kitchen.
Put your
Deal
weapon
tries to
down.
negotiate with
Get on your
Casten,
knees. Get out of here!
but Casten threatens to shoot if authorities don't leave. Agent Deal agrees to back out of the house, hoping Casten will cool off before the situation escalates.
By then, the Louisiana State SWAT team had arrived. We had a complete perimeter set up around the house.
Get out of here! I'm not talking to any of you.
From inside the house, Casten tells authorities he's willing to negotiate with only one man, then prosecutor Buddy Caldwell.
Buddy Caldwell!
Agents get Caldwell on the phone, then throw it to Casten.
Buddy?
He said, Mr. Buddy, I'm gonna kill a lot of people today. I said, yeah, Jesse, I know. Just don't kill anybody until I get there.
Within minutes, Buddy Caldwell arrives on the scene and talks face to face with Casten.
He was armed with an automatic weapon with 3 or 4 rounds of 50 armor-piercing bullets, which meant Jesse could shoot through the house and kill people just at will.
Casten tells Caldwell he didn't kill James and Bubba Kelly and asks Caldwell for leniency.
I will not seek the death penalty.
Jesse asked for a Sammy the Bull Gravano deal, which was 10 years in prison for murdering a lot of people. I think Jesse had plenty of time to think about all this. And I said, Jesse, you might as well go ahead and shoot me, man, because if you don't, these people out here will. If I give you 10 years and all these people have died. And at that time, even Jesse was laughing, so I said, well, we're getting somewhere.
Realizing he can't negotiate a lighter sentence for himself, Casten asks that his father and others not be prosecuted for helping him hide.
Okay.
Once Caldwell agrees, Casten surrenders.
You gotta give me the clip.
He handed me the gun and his clips. And of course, that was a fairly tense moment because, you know, you don't want somebody pulling a gun down. He could have easily pulled behind the door at any point in here and started firing and killed a lot of people.
Dropped you down to your knees.
Federal agents finally take Casten into custody, ending an exhausting 8-month chase. 2 weeks later, Jesse James Casten is indicted for the first-degree murder of Sharon McIntyre, the second-degree murder of Angela Casten, 2 counts of attempted first-degree murder of a police officer, and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. There is not enough evidence to charge him with the murders of James and Bubba Kelly. Just before he is set to stand trial, Casten pleads guilty to the second-degree murder of Sharon McIntyre and is sentenced to life. All other charges against him are dropped.
I hope he never gets out of prison. That's where he needs to be. I mean, this is not a world where you can shoot somebody just because they think you're cheating on them. That's what they have marriage counselors for, not guns.
Those who know Jesse James Casten best are convinced that he'll never give up his outlaw ways, just like his namesake.
The thing with Jesse is he's still around, and it would not surprise me. One day, you find out that Jesse or his brothers have escaped. It would not surprise me that one day he's going to be out on the loose again.
I think a death sentence would have been an easy out. I mean, maybe not very many people would agree with me on that, but as long as he's in jail, he will always have to think back on the lives he destroyed. That'll never be something he can forget about.